Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well as I am, and I'm excited to do this video where we talk about 5 potential rivalries that could be exciting in the future. Before we start, please make sure to like and subscribe, and before we get to the 5, I'll be talking about 2 honorable mentions for rivalries before we get into the other 5 like I said. And the first honorable mention will be the Detroit Red Wings and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know this may seem crazy as the Red Wings have been a bottom feeder for the better part of half a decade now, and the Lightning are on the complete opposite of the hockey spectrum with back-to-back Stanley Cups. However, the Red Wings rebuild is paying off, as according to the HockeyWriters.com, the Red Wings had the 7th best prospect ranking coming into this season, out of all 31 teams. Undoubtedly, Detroit is on the way up, and while Tampa Bay isn't on the way down in a few years, I think we could be looking at a David versus Goliath type situation. It'll be the young kids versus the proven veterans, and it would be a really fun narrative for this enticing story, as well as the fact that the Detroit Red Wings GM Steve Yzerman was the Lightning GM for 8 seasons, where the team had a ton of success, 4 conference finals appearances, a division title, and a Stanley Cup Finals appearance. If things go well for Detroit with Yzerman at GM as they did in Tampa Bay, then they could be really amazing in the future, really looking like the Bolts of the future, thus setting up a must-see rivalry where we could see the fall of one dynasty and the rise of another. The second and final honorable mention rivalry that we'll be talking about is the potential I-5 rivalry, and that is between the Seattle Kraken and my Vancouver Canucks. So, it seems pretty forced now, but the two cities are about 2.5 hours away from each other, and with 4 division games a season to heat things up, we'll have to keep an eye there. I think the rivalry could be intense in the first 2 years. It's going to really set the tone if we do get this rivalry. The Kraken are the new kids on the block that moved into the Pacific Northwest, originally just Canucks territory, and with a weak division, these teams probably will be fighting for the 3rd place spot in the Pacific. It certainly will make the Canucks fans like myself probably hate the Kraken more if they are higher in the standings than us. And how the Kraken perform in the first few seasons, like I said, will probably shape this rivalry forever. If they're not up to par, then it could take a while for things to heat up. But if they're good right away, this could just set the tone. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. And coming in at number 5, we have the Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Panthers are still licking their wounds from their first round defeat at the hands of the neighbors up north and have plenty of reasons to hate the Bolts. Self-proclaimed Tampa Bay has far more franchise success than their neighbors down south, with 4 Stanley Cup Finals appearances with 3 titles coming out of that. Meanwhile, the Panthers only have 1 Stanley Cup Finals appearance and haven't won a playoff round since their fateful underdog run in 1996, where they played the Colorado Avalanche. However, after years of mediocrity, the Panthers were one of the biggest surprise teams this past season and had their best season in franchise history, hands down, in terms of points percentage last year. The team also has, exciting players like Alexander Barkov and Jonathan Huberdeau, as well as Sam Reinhart, Spencer Knight, rookie goalie, and some other pieces to work with. It's going to be really fun to watch them play. And the rivalry is going to depend on one thing and one thing only. Can the Panthers replicate the success they had from last season? If so, the rivalry could be amazing, as they will be in the Atlantic Division together and could very well see each other in the playoffs multiple times. Oh yeah, and then there's the whole in-state rivalry thing as well. Now, whether or not the Panthers can be consistent is yet to be seen, and this upcoming season probably gives us an idea of whether or not this rivalry will actually take off or just be a dud. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the Detroit Red Wings and Ottawa Senators, and I'm sure if you did have this on your list, you would probably expect it to be higher, but one thing is stopping me from putting this higher up. That is the Ottawa Senators owner, Eugene Melnyk, and his knack for being frugal. I mean, I would expect this rivalry to be an Atlantic Division battle for years to come, with Detroit being ranked 7th for prospects and Ottawa being ranked 2nd in the entire league coming into this season. However, Eugene Melnyk has a long history of being stingy with money, and as soon as the Senators are probably going to be capable of making any noise in the playoffs in the future, I'm sure he'll find a way to not pony up on a deal. that needs to be signed. I mean, this guy, if you look into his history, he's got a history of being kind of sketchy with money. Now, since the owner bought the Senators, Ottawa has made the playoffs 9 times and only won 6 rounds with 5 first-round exits. Could this rivalry be exciting in years to come? Yes, but if Melnyk doesn't dish out money, it likely won't be a great rivalry. Let's not forget, this is the same man that said 26-year-old Mark Stone was too old to get a long-term contract and has made repeated threats to move the Senators. He doesn't like to spend money, we know that. With an owner like that, who likely hates a cap floor, I have a few doubts. Now, coming in at number 3, we have the Battle of New York. That's right, the Islanders versus the Rangers. I was thinking about putting the Devils and Rangers in this list. I was actually really wanting to do this, but I just need to see that New Jersey can win. And that's something the Islanders have done the past 3 seasons in the playoffs. And you look at this rivalry, the Islanders and the Rangers had a fierce rivalry in the 70s and early 80s, which makes sense considering the Islanders had a ton of success, 4 straight Stanley Cup titles in the early 80s, and their fans made the 1940 chant, if I'm not correct. That was where the Rangers hadn't won a title since 1940, and their fans let Rangers fans know it. These two teams play each other every year, and are bound to have the argument of the real team of New York. And as of late, it's been the Islanders, especially with the playoff success. Now, is Long Island part of New York City anyway? I don't think it is. I got mixed answers online, but theoretically they could just use the excuse that they're talking about the state name. Anyway, back to the Isles. The team may not play an exciting brand of hockey, but they win in the playoffs, and that wins in the playoffs. And they've got back-to-back finals, conference finals appearances to prove that. They were 1 win away, and actually 1 goal away, 2 I guess if you count the 1-0 loss, from going to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. And I think that they probably would have beat Montreal had they made it there. Meanwhile, the Rangers are on the opposite end for their Long Island rivals. They've got plenty of big-name players, Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, and Norris-winning defenseman Adam Fox, as well as potential young talent that's looking like it could be something special with Alexei Lafreniere. Yeah, I always screwed up. We're just moving past it. And then Kaapo Kakko. Kaapo Kakko, I don't know what's going to happen with him. The only problem is the Rangers haven't been as good as many people thought they would be so far. And I'm one of those people. They are going to have success soon. I can feel it. The Rangers are currently the 4th youngest team in the NHL and have had a lot of growing pains so far. It's time to start seeing results, though. If they can get things going, then I think that they could be fighting with the Islanders for Eastern Conference supremacy in the future, which is a good thing for the NHL, especially if the Rangers are doing well. And I could realistically see this happening as the Rangers are bound for a breakthrough, like I said. And if the Islanders keep doing what they're doing, there's no reason to think they shouldn't be in the playoffs as well going forward. Now, coming in at number 2, we have a rivalry that I almost put at number 1 that I'm excited to look for. And that is a rivalry that's been heated before. And I'm excited because I think it could be scalding hot going forward. That's the Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings. The freeway face-off rivalry is real. And both of these teams have been quality teams before, as the Ducks won a Stanley Cup in 2007, and the Kings won 2 in 2012 and in 2014. And they have both combined appeared in 7 conference finals over the past 16 years. Now, coming into the season, the Kings ranked 1st in the NHL for prospects, and the Ducks ranked 9th. Both teams have exciting players to watch in the future, like Jamie Drysdale and Trevor Zegras for the Anaheim Ducks, and Quentin Byfield and more for the Los Angeles Kings. And both teams really haven't been too bad, as they last made the playoffs in the 2017-18 season. So things are moving along pretty nicely for them, because you think about that wasn't that long ago. Now, LA is currently looking like the better team for this season, this upcoming season, but it's hard to tell because I still got to do season previews in late August, so we'll have to keep our eyes out on that. If the prospects do what's expected for them, though, this California rivalry could reach epic proportions in the next few years. The future is looking bright for both teams, and now we just have to wait for them to gain NHL experience, go through the growing pains of adjusting to the game. Honestly, the waiting is the worst part, because if things work out, this rivalry is going to be so fun again. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. These two teams finally get to meet in the playoffs this past season, or they finally got to meet, and in shocking fashion, the Golden Knights clawed their way back from a 2-0 deficit and beat the Avs in 6 games. And with Colorado getting better every year and Vegas being one of the best teams since their inaugural season, we could be looking at a Western Conference battle that includes this Colorado team that's had a big Western Conference foe before. And of course, I am talking about the Colorado-Detroit rivalry of the mid-90s going into the early 2000s. One of the two teams appeared in the Western Conference Finals 8 straight seasons from 1995 to 2002, and they met 3 times in the Conference Finals over those 8 years. In that time, they won a combined 5 Stanley Cups, and this is what we could be seeing today with Colorado and Vegas. The Avs are the 9th youngest team in the league and just won the President's Trophy. Meanwhile, Vegas, the 14th oldest team, has big-name players, and they're not afraid to spend to the cap. In the next few seasons, these two teams will likely decide who represents the West in the Stanley Cup Finals, and very well could decide who wins the Stanley Cup outside of Eastern Conference favorites, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And if this happens, we'll have to see 2 juggernauts every year just going head-to-head with each other for hockey's ultimate prize. That is a big win for the NHL for TV ratings. And yeah, that wraps it up. What exciting rivalries do you expect to be in the NHL for years to come or in the coming years? Let me know down below. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe. Everybody stay safe. Have a great day. You go love hockey, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.